it's about a week and a half before July is officially over. However, I am wrapping up my reading for the month because I have hit a little bit of a lull. Thanks to the last book that I picked up, and I'm going to talk to you about that at the end of this. So I'm giving myself a few days, figuring out what kind of mood I'm actually in before I pick something else up and start diving back into reading. The book I want to talk to you guys about is by Lynsay, of course. And this is Devil of the Highland. This is book 1 in this particular series. It's about Colin. He is the lord of his clan, and accidents have happened around him that have killed the people he held dear and loved, and the people closest to him. So rumors are obviously flying that he is behind these murders, and of course there's no proof that these were not actually accidents, but rumors are gonna be rumors and they're just gonna go. So he's just has the mindset, you know what, just let people think what they want to think. There's no point in me trying to defend myself because I have no proof that I did not do this. So I'm just gonna let them think what they want to think. So when Evelyn is told by the king that she is to marry Colin and go live with him in Scotland, she's just like, great, he is going to make my life miserable. This is awful. They meet in a really cute, funny way, which just made me laugh. And I will tell you, 30 pages into this, it gets pretty naughty real quick, which I was surprised. Usually it doesn't get naughty that fast. So if you're not into very descriptive scenes, this might not be for you. This is not fade to black romance. This is, we are going to talk about what's happening and you're going to know what's happening. But I wouldn't say this is rated R because I've read some rated R stuff. This to me is lighter than that, but it's definitely not PG. Okay? So I'm just going to put that out there now. Anyway, they meet. He rides her off into, I wouldn't say the sunset, but that's pretty much what happens. Takes her to the castle, and then of course she's left kind of wondering what is he thinking. So she goes off and she starts talking to people that are around her because he's not communicating with her. So she starts asking questions about these accidents and kind of what happened, and then all of a sudden she starts having accidents and you realize somebody is out trying to kill Evelyn. And this is about the time where they're starting to have feelings for each other. And it just is that intense moment of like, oh no, are they going to figure this out before the relationship ends tragically? And of course I gave this one 4.5 stars. It's not a 5 because there were a few things that I was like about, but 4.5 is pretty good for me. I don't have the physical book to show you because this was borrowed from another library through my library for me. We have what's called the loan program. So if my library does not have a particular book, they will reach out to other libraries and then either I get it immediately or I'm put on a wait list. Assaulted Caramel is about a woman who is living in New York. Her father has left the Amish community to become English, so she is not Amish herself. However, her grandparents are. So keep that in mind with the story. She is in New York. She is becoming the head chocolatier. Like, she is this close to getting the job of her dreams. And then she finds out that her grandfather is sick. So she leaves during the worst possible time to go and visit her grandfather who is sick, to check on him and just make sure everything's okay. And when she gets there, she sees this guy being extremely aggressive, wanting to buy their chocolate shop and upsetting her grandfather, who lapses, and this guy just walks away like he doesn't even care. Turns out, after doing a little bit of questioning with her grandparents, she finds out that he has purchased the buildings around her grandfather's chocolate shop, and he has plans to make this some sort of travel destination for those who are curious about the Amish community and kind of making it like an Amish Disneyland. And right off the bat, she does not care for this guy. Like, she does not care for him because of what his plans are for this little community that she's grown to love so much over her childhood years, and the way that she's just seen him treat her grandfather, who she loves. Now, nobody else in the community really likes him either, because she finds him dead in her grandfather's shop the next morning. Definitely light and fluffy. There's some romance interest in there, but it's not romance based. Definitely not, like I said, a suspense or a deep thriller. It's just light, fluffy mystery. Definitely one I'm going to keep on my radar. Look, you do get the recipe for a fudge that they share, and I'm excited to try it. It's called All's Fair in Love and Cupcakes by Betsy St Amant. And this is about Kate and Lucas. They have been best friends since high school, and they both are in love with each other. However, they don't know if the love is mutual. One thing I will say is I wish I did not know both characters' perspectives, just to give me a little bit more of a guess as to what's going to happen. But this is a very predictable book. It's very fluffy. It's very predictable. Predictable is going to be the good word here. But I really enjoyed it. It was kind of what I needed while I waited for a couple books to come from the library. So it was just kind of a good in-between fast read for me. But basically, Kate is a baker. She loves to make these extraordinary cupcakes, and as a matter of fact, there is a cupcake recipe back here for a lemonade tart cupcake, raspberry lemonade cupcake. So that kind of gives you an idea of what kind of cupcake she really enjoys making. She works for her aunt who owns a bakery, but her aunt is very strict and only wants the generic strawberry chocolate vanilla. That's it. That's all this little hometown wants, is what her aunt believes. And Lucas, he's the local football coach. He's very well loved. He loves his little town. He, wants to buy land, and he wants to marry Kate and, go live this fantasy life with her. But he doesn't know if she wants the same thing. And then you get Kate's perspective, where she really likes Lucas, but he loves this little small town, and she wants to move away and really grow in another place because she's just tired of her small town. So Lucas actually submits an application for her to be a part of this baking show, and without realizing it, he thought she would get money and she'd be able to open a bakery shop in their little town, and she'd be able to make these crazy cupcakes that she loves to make and fall in love with him. That was his plan. Well, it turns out the grand prize is actually a year in New York at this head bakery. And so, of course, when she gets there, he is having a little bit of a back and forth with himself as to whether or not to sabotage her, because he ends up being her right-hand man. And you go through this whole cooking show process with them, trying to figure out if they are ever going to let each other know that they have feelings for each other, or if they're just going to stay in that best friend category. Still good. I did give this 4 stars. And I don't know if I said in the last one, but I gave a salted caramel 4 stars as well. So very light, fluffy reads. The next book I picked up is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I want to say that's her first name, but I could very well be mispronouncing that. About this girl that lives in Barkley Cove, North Carolina, and she's been called the Marsh Girl. There's rumors about her and her lifestyle, and people don't want to go near the Marsh Girl and the Marsh family because they're just improper and, just uneducated and all this stuff. So you really get to see how she is ostracized because of where she lives in that area. And it's really sad. Honestly, I was just so sad. I really connected with this book. I did give this book 4.5 stars, guys. I really did enjoy it. You watch Kai kind of grow up through the things that she's grown up with. She had an abusive father who drank a lot. Her mother abandoned her when she was young. And then slowly but surely her brother leaves, and eventually she's just left on her own to fend for herself. Everybody has left her. Everybody. And during this time, you are jumping from present day to kind of future, or if you want to say from the future to the past. And you're finding out that there was a murder that occurred to a very popular guy in this town that she's from. And they suspect the Marsh Girl because it's easy to pin it on the Marsh Girl when it happened in the marsh, right? I don't want to say a whole lot to give this away because I feel like you really just need to go into this and read. But all you really need to know is that everybody she's loved has abandoned her. She has learned not to trust people. She's had to fend for herself, make her own money with no education. And there's only one person that she truly trusted and forgave. Yeah, you just see kind of how the town turns on her and realize that it's the people who have also been turned on during that time that actually come to help her and guide her through the best that they can. It's just a really good book, you guys. I really recommend that you pick it up. I'm going to go ahead and just read you the synopsis because I feel like I'm doing a terrible job at explaining it. It says, how long can you protect your heart? For years, rumors of the Marsh Brawl have haunted Barkley Cove, a quiet town on North Carolina's coast. So, in late 1969, when handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, the so-called Marsh Brawl. But Kaya is not what they say. Sensitive and intelligent, she has survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the galls and lessons in the sand. Then, the time comes when she yearns to be touched and loved. When two young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to new life until the unthinkable happens. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people love Ellen Hildebrand. And that is why I picked it up, because my library actually has a lot of her books. But it's a big surprise because it's a very small library. We don't really have a whole lot. The problem isn't with the story or the author itself for me. This is a personal issue. I don't like books that jump between characters, especially multiple characters. This book jumps between 7 different characters. I read 100 pages and I put it down because I could not do it. I was getting confused as to who I was reading about, how they were related to the person that this whole book centers around, how they knew the other people in the book. It was just becoming way too much. I cannot deal with too much character jumping. My brain just cannot keep up. I end up glazing over. I end up having to reread what I just read. I don't know why. I just don't care for it. So like I said, this is not about the author. It's not about the story, because I'm sure if it was written a different way, I would have loved it. It's just, I can't do character jumping with that many characters. Like, I lose myself. Like, I just can't. Plain and simple, I just can't. So, maybe this book is for you. Maybe you really enjoyed it and character jumping doesn't bother you. But I was just getting too lost and I confused and I couldn't keep up. So, that is why I ended up putting this book down. And now I'm just like, I don't know what to pick up next. Because I was really in the mood for this type of book. And now I'm just like, well, now what? Now what do I do? So I was going to go to the library today and return this and get something else. But we are in a crazy heat wave right now. So I'm not leaving my house until later. And our library is closed again for a few days. So my library is only open for a couple hours a week. Let me know if you've read any of those books. Any book recommendations you have for me. I have been adding them to my list. And I will see you next month for August's reading wrap up. Alright guys, I'll see ya in the next one.